Okay, I think we are live. So, to all the participants who've joined us this evening, a very good evening to all of you and welcome to the session. Uh, we'll wait for another minute or two and then we'll get started as some of you are still joining in. So we'll take maybe another minute or two and then get started. So yeah, please allow us a minute on this. Okay, so we'll get started. Um, okay, a very good evening to all of you. My name is Mohit, and I'm a part of the Great Learning team. Uh, First of all, a very warm welcome to all the attendees who've joined this webinar today. Uh, Agenda for today's discussion is to talk about the certificate in supply chain analytics with AI and ML applications from IIT Bombay. And the first certificates in this space, which combine supply chains and AI/ML applications, and we are quite excited to share more details around the certificate. You'll also be hearing from the faculty who will be delivering this program, and of course, learn about different aspects of the curriculum and other parts. So we hope that this is useful. And by the way, this the cohort will be starting next month around mid of October, and we have already received a lot of good applications. So if this is something, if there's an area that you are interested in and something that that you'd like to join, you should definitely you know I hope you find this helpful. And if of course you like this, then be happy to walk you through the process. And you have access to the chat window as well as the Q&A window. So make sure that you are raising the questions accordingly. It would be better if you can post your queries in the Q&A window, uh, because that will help us structure the discussion. We'll also, of course, pause every now and then for the Q&A, but it would help if you can post your queries in the Q&A window so that we can take them as they come and at respective points during the session. So with that, we'll jump right in. To begin with, I would like to first introduce all the speakers that we have today. So first of all, we have Professor Priyank Sinha with us. He's an assistant professor with the Department of Industrial Engineering and Operations Research at IIT Bombay, and he's the course coordinator for this certificate program. And you'll be hearing from him a lot about uh, the, uh, the course, the various curriculum elements, who is it up for, etc. So welcome, Professor Priyank, to the session. Look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Mohit.
Moving on, we also have Dr. Satadru Chakraborty joining us from the Educational Outreach Office at IIT Bombay. Satadru is a program manager with the Outreach Office. And broadly speaking, Educational Outreach is the main administrative body behind all the online programs like e-postgraduate diploma certificates that are offered to candidates outside IT Bombay. And so we'll hear from Dr. Satatru on educational outreach and some of the initiatives that the office is taking. Welcome, Dr. Satadru, to the session today.
Thanks, Mohit. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the session.
Yes. And finally, my name is Mohit. I'm a part of the Great Learning team, and Great Learning is the official edtech partner for delivering this course along with IIT Bombay. And we'll talk more about Great Learning as well. But largely speaking, you'll be interacting with the Great Learning team very frequently, starting from getting to know more about the program, then the registration process, and so on. And we'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, so you'll hear from all of the key stakeholders that are involved in bringing this course to you all. And with that, we'll jump right in. So I would first like to invite Dr. Satadru to talk more about the educational outreach and some of the initiatives that the Educational Outreach Office is involved in. So over to you, Dr. Satadru.
Thanks, Mohit, and welcome to all the attendees. We are excited to actually launch this program with Great Learning. So I'll speak very briefly about the educational outreach at IIT Bombay. So educational outreach is an academic unit which has been set up recently in the recent past, about 2 years ago. And the primary mandate of the educational outreach at IIT Bombay is to take IIT Bombay's education outside the walls of IIT Bombay to learners who could not make it into IIT Bombay but would still like to, experience the quality of education that IIT Bombay can provide. And in this regard, we have a lot of different types of programs. For example, we have the EPGDs, which are the e-postgraduate diplomas. Recently launched, we have EPGDs in AI data science. We have EPGD in computer science and engineering, in IC design, which is a semiconductor-based EPGD. So these are the flagship programs. Beyond that, we also have certificate programs like the certificate in supply chain, which we have launched recently. We are also coming up with other certificate programs as well. We also cater to corporate as well as government bodies for their training needs. So as I was mentioning again, so we take IIT Bombay's education outside, and we want education to be accessible to all. Even if people could not make it into IIT Bombay, this should not be a impediment for them to get the world-class education that IIT Bombay provides. And we cater to a different, very varied background, starting from working professionals as well as freshers, people who are looking to just upskill. uh, you know. So yeah, that's about it. And I'll give it back to Mohit. We are very excited to launch this program in partnership with Great Learning. And this certificate is also special in the sense that it's a completion certificate, uh, which 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 holds a greater value in the real world. So it's not just a participation certificate. The students who will be enrolling in this course will have to undergo certain assessments and evaluations. And only upon clearing those assessments will they be awarded the completion certificate. Professor Priyank will definitely talk more on this, as well as Mohit. So yeah, over to you. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Satadru, for that overview. And providing the context under which educational outreach operates and various initiatives. Uh, Moving on, I would now like to invite Professor Priyank to talk a bit about the Department of Industrial Engineering and Operations Research, which is the main academic body behind bringing this course to you all. And yeah, let us know more about the department. So, Professor Priyank, over to you.
Thanks, Mohit. So good evening, everybody. So this is just a brief history of our department. So our department, Industrial Engineering and Operation Research, is basically an interdisciplinary department which is started in the year 1976. So the next year we'll be celebrating the golden jubilee of the department. So initially it was started as a part of the mechanical engineering group, and so we offered MTech. MTech was the first program that was started. In 1986, we started the PhD program, and there have been significant developments ever since. So to cut to the chase, currently we are a group of 15 faculty members, and the faculty members work and research in various domains of industrial engineering and operation research, ranging from game theory, Markov decision processes, stochastic optimization, general deterministic optimization, and so on and so forth. There are many faculty members who are also interested in the application side of the things, so including me. So some of these faculties are more interested in applying some theoretical models to the practical problems of interest. So we also have two basically centers. So first center is FedEx Logistics for FedEx Center for Logistics and Transportation, and the other center is based on the AI and ML applications in the department. So these two centers are totally run by the department faculty. So this is just a brief overview of our department and what we are interested in. We are interested in many sort of interdisciplinary research where we can apply the theory of optimization and the operation research. Yeah, so that's just a brief.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Priyank, for that quick overview. Uh, Moving on, I would also like to talk, briefly about Great Learning. Great Learning is more than a decade old. We are one of the largest edtech companies in India and have touched the lives of many learners across the last 11 years of our existence. We served more than 13 million learners so far across 170 plus countries and have delivered 470 million plus learning hours through our learning management platform. Not just that, we have one of the highest course completion rates, which is more than 90%, and which means that more than 90% of the people who join our courses end up completing these. And by virtue of the strong academic delivery and the program management experience that we are able to deliver in partnership with the reputed universities that we work with. And we also have some of the best learner ratings across the board and a very large set of industry mentors that we work with. All of this is possible because of some of the strong academic partnerships that we have with some of the best universities in the world. So, schools like Harvard Medical School, Johns Hopkins, MIT, IIT Bombay, of course, Northwestern, UT Austin, Deakin, Chicago Booth, Great Lakes are some of the universities that we work very closely with. And in addition to this program, of course, we have multiple others program formats across certificates, degree programs, short duration, long duration. You can check it on the website. And of course, the idea is to bring some of the best education in the world to all the learners across the globe. And we are, of course, very fortunate to be working with IIT Bombay, with Educational Outreach, IEO, our Professor Priyank, to bring this course to you all. And because it's one of a kind course in this space where we are talking about supply chain while also looking at AI ML application, which is something that is touching almost every industry. And this is in that sense, it's a fairly cutting edge course, which is uh, bringing all these two very highly in demand areas together and trying to uh, convey how both these things merge, and what are the kind of amazing things that can happen when these two areas converge. So very fortunate to be working with the team here. And broadly, in terms of what Great Learning, like the role of the two bodies is, so while IIT Bombay and the faculty takes care of all the academic delivery related aspects of the program, which is designing the curriculum, delivering the curriculum, um, and of course, all the learner support. The Great Learning team takes care of primarily all the non-academic aspects of the program, starting from learner outreach. And of course, so if you are interested, you'll probably fill your details on the website. Then you'll end up talking to someone at our end from the Great Learning team who will help you understand some of the program details and help you decide whether this is something that interests you, or whether there's a good fit or not. Once you decide to register Then you'll also be assigned a program manager who will be working with you throughout the duration of the program to help you stay on track and to help you complete the program on time. So all the non-academic aspects, starting from learner counseling to onboarding and of course continuous support throughout the program, will be provided by the Great Learning team. So with that, now let us jump uh, right into the heart of the program. And to begin with, I would like to talk about some of the key highlights of the program as and then we'll look into some more details. So as I said, the first and foremost part is that the program is completely designed and delivered by IIT Bombay faculty, and Professor Priyank has designed the entire curriculum and will of course be delivering the same to all the learners through, and we'll of course talk more about the mode of delivery, but largely it will be through a mix of live and async sessions over the weekends, and on a weekly basis the overall program duration is around 5.5 to 6 months, and about every 3 to 4 weeks there will be a break week in which you will be working on the assignments and projects, and that's how the entire delivery is structured. Uh, in addition to that, of course, given that most of you are working professionals, the curriculum has been designed in a way that it's fairly industry relevant and covers and is primarily taught by a case-based teaching methodology, which means that you'll get relevant examples with every concept that is being covered, so that you are able to apply the things that you learn to the respective problem at hand. And of course, we have weekly live sessions from the faculty and the teaching assistants for learning and query resolution. Um, given the course talks about supply chain and AIML, that means that AI topics and techniques are integrated throughout the curriculum, and Professor Priyank will talk more about this. But broadly, the idea is to first explain the core supply chain concept and then talk about how AI and ML can add to that and can improve the efficiency, can improve the efficacy of the process. So that's how the entire curriculum has been designed. This, of course, the course is delivered fully online, which makes it super relevant for working professionals. It also allows you to network with like-minded peers. And finally, as we said, all the uh, uh, all the candidates will, of course, get a personalized assistance from a dedicated program manager from the Great Learning team. And they'll help you along the journey, and they'll be with you to ensure that you complete things on time, and if you need any support, any help, the program manager will be there to help you out for the same. So those are broadly some of the key highlights and things to know about before we get deep into the program and its various aspects. So with that, I would now like to invite Professor Priyank to talk more about who is this certificate for, what type of professionals will it best work for, and some of the learning outcomes, curriculum, etc. So Professor Priyank, over to you.
Yeah, so thanks, Mohit. So the objective behind designing this course is that we thought that usually many courses that are offered in the supply chain domain by the universities, by the institutes, or even in the, to the even to the professionals, we found that the courses can be categorized into two categories. One category is where we talk about a traditional supply chain stuff, and which is not very much attuned to the current happenings in the industry. And the second category of the courses is where we talk about some untested ideas in the AI ML areas and how they can be applied to the supply chain setting. So these type of courses usually don't give the theoretical underpinning which is required to understand the supply chain functioning holistically. So we have tried to bring both of these things together in this particular course. So primarily we are going to focus, as Mohit already said, primarily we are going to focus on the conceptual understanding of the supply chain, the theoretical models, and how they are applied to the decision making in the supply chain. We will also talk about some of the extensions that can be made to this model with some data analytics techniques and the AI ML based extensions, and how they can be used to take better decisions in a more efficient way. So that is the overall theme of the course. With this, we will also have some sessions dedicated to, just using the Python and how we can develop the code and solve certain problems. But that will be the minor aspect since this is not a computational course. We will extensively be focusing on the modeling and the decision-making aspects. So with that, I think the course is more suited for the people already working in the supply chain area. So they could be working in any domain, any particular aspect of the supply chain. Then the course is also relevant to the people working in data and business intelligence professionals. So if the people are working in logistics, procurement, inventory, and operation role. So since here I would like to point out that the supply chain is relatively a broad domain, so it is not possible for any course to cover the entire breadth and depth of the area. So we'll be touching upon most of the important salient supply chain areas, and we'll be treating them with some depth also. But we won't be able to cover all the different aspects of the supply chain. For example, we can talk a bit about the revenue management, but we will not cover those aspects too much in detail. So with that, the certain aspects that we are going to cover is the logistics, procurement, inventory. So the people working in this side of the things will surely find this course to be useful. Supply chain consultants and strategy professionals also, because they will gain a overall holistic understanding of how supply chain works. And some emerging leaders also who are in their mid-level of their career. Who are working in the manufacturing, retail, and e-commerce. And if they are interested in understanding the optimization side of the things and trying to build their further career into the operations analysis domain, then it will be useful for these leaders also. Yeah. Uh, yeah. So okay. So this is broadly the curriculum of the courses. Mohit, we are receiving some comments. I think should we take them right away or how should we do it?
I think if you're comfortable, we can take the relevant ones, and then whatever is left, we can take it towards the end. I think there's uh, one which is probably relevant, which is how is it possible, uh, how to possibly forecast supply using AI. I think that's the one that I can uh, read out. So yeah,
So, I'll actually cover that in the curriculum part. So,
yeah.
okay, so this is the broad curriculum of our course. So usually any supply chain program will comprise of three modules necessarily. So one module will be dedicated to the strategic planning decisions. The other module will be, so other two will be to the dedicated to the tactical planning and the operational planning. So once the strategic planning has been done, then in order to support the strategic planning, we do the tactical planning. And in order to support the tactical planning, we do the operational planning. Now, those three modules are already there, but in addition to it, we have also added two modules more just to have a tune towards recent happenings in the supply chain domain. So in the first module, we are going to introduce the data-driven supply chain analytics. In this, we are going to talk about preliminaries in the supply chain. What are the objectives of the supply chain? Why do supply chain exist? And what are the certain preliminaries? And then we will also talk about data analytics. We'll just give the overview of data analytics techniques. So for example, we'll talk about some of the methods that are used for the descriptive data analytics, some of the models that are used for the prescriptive and predictive data analytics. And we'll also provide an overview of how these different data analytics methods will come together to solve some of the important problems within the supply chain domain. Just to give you an overview of how the overall these data analytics methods are currently being used or can be potentially used in the future for decision making in the supply chain. Then we come to the specific modules of the course where we talk about important decision making. So for example, in the module 2, we are going to talk about the strategic decision making. In the strategic decision making, we are more concerned about the network design aspects of the supply chain. And for example, where the facilities will be located, what will be the overall capacity of the facilities, what markets are we going to, cater to those things. So within this module, we are going to talk about supplier selection models. WSM, AHP, and DA are the important methods that we are going to talk about. So we are also going to talk about deterministic network design models. Here we are essentially going to talk about the mixed integer linear programming models. Then in certain cases, the design parameters are not known with the certainty. So we either go in with the stochastic modeling framework or the robust optimization framework. So stochastic modeling framework is used when we have certain distribution associated with the problem parameters. And if, let us say, there is no specific probability distribution associated with the variation in the problem parameters, then we go in for the robust optimization approaches where we say that all the problem parameters occurrence have the equal likelihood. And if we want to develop a robust robust base network structure of the supply chain for all the parameter occurrences, then how we can solve them. We'll also have some small exercises into how these MILP formulation for the deterministic supply chain could be implemented in the Python. Okay. And lastly, we are going to talk about the cost versus resilience. So the idea is that if we are making the supply chain more cost efficient, then the resilience of the supply chain gets compromised because we tend to make the supply chain more lean if we are trying to make it more cost efficient and vice versa. So obviously we want the supply chain to be resilient also. So there is essentially a trade-off, and we'll talk about how to optimally find out a point where the cost and the resilience in the supply chain is matched properly as per the market requirements. In the third module, we are going to talk about the demand forecasting and the planning. This is an essential step before we take the inventory decision. So in the forecasting, so the demand forecasting in the supply chain is essentially now being done by the predictive analytics technique, and most of the ML based methods for the demand forecasting will come into picture. So to start with, we'll initially start with our discussion on the time series forecasting techniques, some basic ARIMA and ATS techniques. We'll also talk about exponential smoothing and other stuff. We'll talk about forecasting errors and the error metrics and how we can develop good forecasts in order to minimize them. Then we are also going to talk about the machine learning models, for example, tree-based models, SVM, support vector machines, and the neural networks, and how they are being used to do the demand forecasting, especially when so much of the data is available. So we can essentially, train the model and then validate it also. So we have that much amount of data. We are also going to talk about BAS diffusion models. So this is basically the discrete choice model, where if, let us say, the portfolio of the product is given to us and a customer is made to choose one among all of these. So how the choice actually happens, and depending upon the choice probabilities, we actually tend to decide on the inventory and the other aspects of the supply chain. Okay, so we can go to the next slide. Okay, so after this demand forecasting is done, then we talk about the data-driven inventory model. Sorry. So initially, we'll talk about the basic models. For example, in the deterministic scenario, we have the economic order quantity model, which can be extended, and we'll talk about various extension of the EOQ model. We'll also talk about the dynamic demand and the lead time models, which is essentially, again, a deterministic model. And we'll also, in some sense, talk about the multi-echelon inventory problem. And then we will go in with the stochastic inventory model. So a standard model here is a news vendor model. And there have been some recent interesting extension to this news vendor model where the ML features have been introduced and some enhancements have been done in the basic news vendor model. So that we are going to talk about. We are also going to talk about multi-period stochastic control and artificial neural network driven inventory optimization. So this is basically the tactical decision making in the supply chain where we do plan for the inventory. And finally, we have the last aspect of the supply chain planning, that is a transportation and risk analysis, where we talk about when the inventory must be dispatched, at what time, and what should be the vehicle routing, and so on. So in this particular module, we are going to talk about dynamic vehicle routing problem. We are also going to talk about the transportation data analytics. What are the different transportation risks and how we can control them in the event of the uncertainty. We are going to talk about disruption risk modeling, how some geopolitical risk or some natural disasters disrupt the transportation, transportation links, and how that makes our supply chain more vulnerable. We're also going to talk about the commodity prices and the risk analysis in that sense, and we can dedicate some time for the Gen AI assisted scenario generation also, where we talk about certain transportation scenarios under which are of interest and how our supply chain is going to operate within those scenarios. So if the time permits, I will also like to talk about the revenue management in a very short detail towards the end of this program. The things that we are not going to talk about is the warehouse management, although we can talk about some basic stuff regarding the warehouse, how the warehouses can be compared with each other, and we can use the DA model that we talked about earlier for this aspect, but we are not going to extensively talk about the warehouse and the management in that sense. Yes, so the logistics function solely on the basis of the distribution of the goods, and those aspects will also not be extensively discussed, although it will be the part of discussion when we talk about the transportation aspects. Yeah. So that is the overall view of the post that what we are going to do. Okay.
Yeah. So before we get to the next part, I think there's a question, Professor Priyank, which
Yeah.
said that from a, let me read it out. It's in the Q&A window. So do we get any hands-on learning with AIML applications and tools that are going to be used for learning? So I'll send this your way. And
Yeah.
yeah.
So the basic idea is that we are so when we talk about the Python based implementation, we are not going to discuss too much of the coding in detail. We assume that uh, GPT and the generative AI tools are available to all the participants, so they can be used to generate the code, and then we can apply it to the Python and see how it works. So those aspects will be seen. Yes, we will talk about certain case studies which are relevant to the and some small illustrative examples also when we talk about the AI and ML based models, that how they are being applied to the supply chain. So it will be the combination of all three. I'll focus more on the small illustrative examples because it tends to bring out the theory behind the ML or AI based models and how it is being applied to the practical scenario. So it gives you the conceptual clarity. And then we can, if we have that conceptual clarity, we can extend it to the some practical problems of interest also. So there can be some, there will be some case studies also which are going to be based on that. Yeah. So hope that answers your question.
Yes. I think next, Professor Priyank, we also have a couple of case studies if you'd like to cover them. Uh, some of the, yeah.
Yeah, so these are some of the sample case studies, although I might include some more case studies also. So for example, in order to just give you a sense of how predictive analytics is used in the supply chain, we are going to have some predictive analytics case study, especially in the forecasting domain. Then we are also going to have a case study on application of Bayes diffusion model to improve the electric vehicle sales. So again, here the in this scenario, consumer is given the choice that he or she can choose a electric vehicle or he or she can choose a conventional vehicle. So how those choices are made. So we can use the Bayes diffusion model as a so to illustrate that how it can be used in these and similar kind of situations. So we can also we will also have a case study where we'll have to select the forecasting model. So for example, depending upon the forecasting horizon and the forecasting deviation that can be tolerated, we usually make a selection to the forecasting model. So that also we are going to discuss. And so ANN based application to the order cycle management. This is another case study that we are going to have. And AI assisted supplier selection. So we'll discuss the supplier selection models, but how it can be assisted to the AI based frameworks. That is something also we are going to discuss. Yeah. So these are typically this is just to give you the flavor of the type of the case studies that we are going to have in our course. Although we can have some more different type of case studies, and we can also have some caselets also, which are not developed as an entire case study, but they are a small problem scenarios of the interest, which represent some of the practical happenings in the real. Yeah.
Uh, thanks, Professor Priyank. I think there's a question which I think it's a good time to address that. So, this is from Sanjay. Is asking, is there any study on product compatibilities during transportation and risk mitigation techniques included in the curriculum? There's in the Q&A window.
Okay, so very specific question. Uh, Not directly. If you are talking about the so it will basically be an some extension and some revision to the of the bin packing problem. Although I'm going to discuss that problem in the initial part, that is the module one. Uh, so I can try to discuss some extensions as to how we can try to get to this. But there will not be any dedicated session for this particular type of a problem. It is a quite a specific problem, but quite interesting one. Yeah.
I think there's a question from Fatehdeep. It's are you going to cover network optimization and how will AI help in this?
So depends on what you are calling as a network optimization. So if network by network optimization you mean the design of the network, yes. If by network optimization you mean that I mean, so how some of the commodities will flow across the network, yes. But at the same time, when we talk about the network optimization in context to supply chain, it is quite different because for a general network, the commodity flows, and we are just interested in some certain aspects to maximize the metrics of the network optimization. But in supply chain, there are agents which have their selfish interest. So even the network optimal solution cannot sometimes be directly applicable. So what I'm trying to say is that supply chain problems are somewhat more complex and somewhat more nuanced to the general network optimization problem where we only talk about the network flows.
Thanks, Professor Priyank. I think there's one more question from Roshan. It's more of a generic question in the sense that does this course help to work in service-based companies or consulting or product-based? I'll maybe take a crack at it and then would also love to hear Professor Priyank's take on this. So, Roshan, and to the entire audience, I think from a learning point of view, at least so far as I have seen, it doesn't really matter what type of company you're looking at because the idea is to have the right fundamentals in place, to have the right knowledge in place. By company, what you define is just where you are applying that knowledge. And once the fundamentals and the topics are clear, it might perfectly be okay to apply it in a product perspective or in the service perspective or in consulting where you might not be doing uh, you know uh, the hands-on execution, but you still need enough knowledge to be able to make the right suggestion and create the right plan for your client. So all it hinges down to at the end of the day is if you have the right fundamental knowledge and if you have the right skills to be able to do the job correctly, whether it be product or service or consulting. And to my understanding, the course mostly focuses on fun one, building the right set of fundamentals knowledge, and then also trying to understand how to apply that in various scenarios. So it should be applicable broadly to all the three that you have cited. Professor Priyank, feel free to add to this.
Yeah, I think there are some fundamental differences between the service industry and the product industry. But when it boils down to it, we just need to tweak our models and present understanding to the service realms. So there is not much of the difference when it there is only the difference when it comes to certain characteristics. So it can be easily extended to the service firms, but we are not going to extensively discuss the service firms because most of the supply chain concepts have emerged from the product-based supply chains. And if we are going to discuss extensively the service firms, you may lose grip on some of the fundamental aspects. So when we discuss the product-based supply chains, we are discussing almost all the concepts holistically, which some of them which can be extended to the service-based systems also. Yeah. So
Okay, perfect. Um, I think there's an interesting question from Shweta Mishra in the Q&A window, and maybe after this we'll go to the next few slides and then come back to Q&A again. But in the meantime, so when it comes to supply chain and logistics, Amazon is doing way better compared to others. Would there be case studies on real life industrial scenarios as well to align all the jargons that we have discussed, like ANN, AGVs, descriptive and predictive analytics, and much more? From a more practical point of view.
okay, so when we consider about the Amazon, I think this is somewhat of the track discussion because when we talk about the success of the Amazon, it is attributed to some of the functional aspects, but many times it is also attributed to the monopolistic aspect. I don't want to get into that, but the idea here is that Amazon has been building has been having a lot of efficiency in its warehouse operations, which we are not specifically going to study right now. So Amazon somehow has cracked the code of operating very huge warehouses still with a very good efficiency, but otherwise there is always a trade-off between the efficiency and the size of the warehouse. So that is one thing. The other thing is that they are very nicely doing this revenue management thing, right? Where they are doing this pricing strategy and those aspects. So we are only going to very briefly touch upon the revenue management aspects and not delve too much into detail, but it will give you a fair idea as to how Amazon or any other company e-commerce website would be, playing around with the prices in order to maximize its revenue. So some basic fundamentals will be discussed. But yes, the entire Amazon case study, because then you will have to think about mostly the warehouse operations and how the third party logistics and how even the Amazon has started, this last mile delivery, how they have started and how they have integrated. So on those aspects, we can have a qualitative based case study, but not a very extensive one because it will eat into a lot of time of the course also. Yeah, so I can think about that. We can have something related to this.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Priyank. Moving on, I think we'd also like to talk about the eligibility criteria.
So I
Uh,
think there is one question, Mohit. I think we can take it and then we can move further.
sure.
Yeah.
So this is from Vijit. Will this course be beneficial for someone heading procurement, sourcing, and logistics in an electronic and electrical product manufacturing company?
So the course is not industry specific, first of all. The things that we are going to discuss will be applicable to the wide industry. We are going to discuss procurement part in quite detail as a part of the course because there is a supplier selection and the contractual arrangement and those things. So if the time permits, I would also like to discuss some auction-based procurement methods. So that will be very much part of the supply chain and other aspect logistics and other aspects that you pointed out will also be included in the supply chain. But the only thing is that we'll be touching upon those things just to give you the holistic understanding of the supply chain. If you say that, will this course only be focusing on procurement or something? So the answer is clear no, because we'll be touching on various aspects. I think this is the answer. Can an undergraduate student join the certificate course? I think. Mohit, so what is our policy on this? I think.
Yeah, I think as we mentioned on the eligibility criteria, you'll need at least to be a graduate. If you are a fresher, yes, you can. If you are, or if you have completed your education and are just and have a provisional degree certificate, you're just waiting for the final degree. Yes, but if you are still going through your education, you'll probably need to complete your graduation first and then join the course. So, and as we mentioned on the screen, the eligibility criteria for this certificate in supply chain and analytics with AM and ML applications is at least a bachelor's degree in any discipline from a recognized university with a minimum aggregate of at least 50% or above, or an equivalent CGPA. And while this is the minimum eligibility criteria, it would also be advantageous uh, to if you have basic familiarity with elementary statistics and spreadsheet tools like MS Excel and some exposure to programming languages such as Python or R. And if, of course, you have professional expertise in the industry and with come with a background in either supply chain or operations, logistics, procurement, inventory management, analytics, you'll definitely find this very helpful. That said, these are not mandatory requirement. Of course, if you don't have any of these, you'll still be able to manage with the codes. It's just that you'll probably need to spend some more time in the early days to pick up on some of these skills, and some more time understanding these fundamentals, which is natural given if you are doing something which is not aligned with either your educational background or your professional experience, then you'll need to put in more effort compared to those who have a leg up. That said, again, as I said, this is not a mandatory requirement. The mandatory requirement is having at least a bachelor's degree from a recognized university with a minimum of 50% score.
So I would just like to add one thing.
Yes.
If you have some basic understanding of the, at least the linear programming, it would be very helpful for you to actually pick up a lot of things in the course. So I think we had I think Mohit, we had already distributed a primer on some linear programming to the participants who were enrolled.
Correct.
So
Correct.
yeah, so if anybody wishes to join this program, so that primer will be distributed to you. So the only expectation is that you go through that primer and you have some basic understanding of at least how linear models are built and what is an optimization. Yeah, that's the only thing.
Yeah. So that's that. Moving on quickly in terms of the application process. So it's a simple three-step process where step one is interested candidates can apply by filling out a simple online application form on the Great Learning website. I think Great Learning team, it would be helpful if you can post the link in the chat. We'll also have the link displayed at the end of the presentation on the slide. So one, you can you visit the website, you can fill in the application form. If you don't want to apply right away, you can also just leave in your details and request for a callback. Someone from the Great Learning team will reach out to you and help you understand the program details and any other questions that you might have around the same. Once you are convinced that this is something that would be beneficial for you, you can go ahead and fill the application form. It will be followed by a short interview process where we'll just do, you'll have the mandatory screening call with the registration office. The idea is to make sure that you are the right fit for the program and the program is the right fit for you. So we'll just ask you a couple of questions to understand broadly your background, why you want to pursue the program, to make sure that both the candidate and the program kind of do justice to each other. And if you are selected, then you will be rolled out an offer letter to join the program, and you must pay the registration fee to confirm your seat and complete the registration. So that's broadly the registration and the application process. Uh, I'm also displaying a sample certificate which will be issued to you once you successfully complete all the course requirements, as Dr. Stadru had mentioned before. So uh, there is no certificate of participation, so to say. The idea is that you learn a couple of concepts, then you also complete the assignments, and if you do the assignments well and if you cross the cutoffs set by the faculty, then you will earn a certificate of completion from IIT Bombay and from the Educational Outreach Office at IIT Bombay. So that's about it. There's a link on the screen where you can visit and leave in your details. And now we'll also go back to the Q&A window and answer the questions that are not answered yet. Um, yeah. And there's also a link to the program webpage in the chat window. So feel free to access that. Um, Amol, I think you should be able to get the recording. I think after this webinar, you should get an email with the session recording. So you should be able to access that. Um, There are a lot of questions around the program fees. So I'll just give you a quick review. So the total program fees is 1,50,000 plus GST. However, there's a initial fee waiver of 15,000 that is being offered. So the effective fee says 1,35,000 plus GST. You'll need to pay 15,000 plus GST as the registration fee if you get selected to block your seat, and the remaining fees you'll need to pay before the classes begin, and of course as per the timelines and the fee payment guidelines shared with you in the offer letter. So that's broadly about the fee structure. um, and in case for those of you who are looking to get any support in terms of payment, uh, you can also avail third-party loan service providers for paying the fees in installments. We'll connect you with them, and then accordingly, you can take it forward. If you are planning to pay on your own, then you'll have to pay the complete fee in full. So, to everyone, this is the first batch for this program because I think there are a lot of questions on how many batches have been completed. So, this is the pilot batch, and because this program has recently been launched, and going forward, we of course plan to, do this program every few months. But this is the pilot batch, and it starts in October. The orientation date that has been finalized is 19th of October for this. So yeah, we have about another 25 days where some of the last few seats are available, and if you want, you can join the program accordingly. I hope I have answered most of the questions. I think there's a question on, will this course help folks in R&D and vehicle design engineers? Professor Priyank, would you like to take that one? It's the first question in the Q&A window,
Okay.
yeah.
R&D vehicle design, not sure how it will help. So, see, we are going to talk about the supply chains mostly and dependence of one firm to the other. So, if you are talking about in terms of what are the research and innovation restriction depending upon your supplier's capability, uh, so yes, in some sense, it would be helpful because we'll talk about the supplier selection, and in those supplier selection models, you can think about some of the criteria for the suppliers where how well they can support your R&D activities and so on. But mostly, if you're talking about some in-house innovation, which is mostly done in-house and is not dependent on the other firms, then supply chain as a course is not going to be very helpful.
Thanks, Mr. Priyank. Couple of more logistical questions. So, there's a question on campus visit. No, there is no campus visit as a part of this program. This is a fully online. This program is delivered fully online, so there's no campus visit component, so to say. There's a question from someone who's pursuing BS in supply chain management and want to understand if they're eligible for the course. As mentioned previously, all the folks who have successfully graduated from a bachelor's program with at least 50% of 50% score are eligible. So as and when you graduate, maybe that would be a good time to check again. But right now, if you are pursuing your course, then you may not be eligible. That said, for those of you who have just finished your last semester and cleared the courses and maybe just waiting for the degree certificate, but in the meantime, if you have your provisional degrees which clearly mention your overall score, you can still apply. Um, Yeah, there's a question on recording. So yes, once the course starts, for all the live sessions that will be conducted over the duration of the course, these will also be recorded, and the recording will be made available to the learners afterwards. Usually, it takes a couple of hours for the recording to be available, but yes, all the live sessions are recorded, and the learners can refer them after the course as well. And generally, all the course content is available for around 2 years. Since from when the course starts. So you'll probably spend around 5 to 6 months in the course, and you'll have probably another about 1.5 years where you will continue to have the course access. Broadly, there was a question from Sanjay on, I think I've answered how many batches have completed. Um, in terms of placement assistance for deserving candidates, uh, right now we don't have any placement assistance, so to say. This is primarily focused at upskilling. Of course, you will likely pick up skills as you go along, and that might definitely be helpful as you apply for new roles. But there's no placement assistance or career support available as a part of the program itself. Yeah, I think there's a similar question on that. So I think I've answered all the questions. I'll just check the chat once again. I'm all around the options for no cost EMI and others. It'll be great, if you can just leave your details on the program webpage, and the team will connect with you and can share all these details. I'm sure you'll probably have a few more questions. So the team can definitely help answer some of those things, like what are the different options available in terms of financing providers, no cost, EMI, etc. So yeah, they can answer all these things in a fair amount of detail, which will be helpful to you. There's nothing on the chat. So okay, perfect. So we'll wait for maybe 1 more minute, and then we'll Interesting question from Vijit. How do you consider this course superior to others currently available? I'll maybe answer this briefly and then leave it to Professor Priyank. I think from my point of view, most of the courses that we have seen typically focus broadly on supply chain management and operations, mostly focusing on the fundamental aspects. But there are very few courses which kind of bring in the analytics, AI, ML applications to supply chain. Even if they do, it's a very cursory take on it, while the main focus continues to be on the core supply chain management and operations. The way this course has been designed, all the analytics and AIML applications have been woven into the curriculum, and they flow alongside the main supply chain concepts. So that's one big difference that at least I have seen vis-a-vis other courses available in the industry. And Professor Priyank can maybe shed a lot more light on this.
Yeah, so first of all, we are not claiming that this course is superior to any other course, because I think that would be a wrong thing to do. Every course and every program has their own benefits, has their own target audience, and has their own objective. This program has some unique objectives, which I think Mohit has also shared, and I also shared in the initial part. So if those objectives are aligning with your career path, with your career aspiration, this course is a go ahead for you. But of course, there could be a situation where some of the other courses are very nicely designed for you. So I mean, you can always explore the options, but we are not making any of that clear. Just to be clear on that.
Thanks, Professor Priyank. There's one more question on do we need to know about Python or R as I am from a non-IT background? Professor Priyank, would you like to take
No,
this one?
no, no, not at all, because we are only going to look at, so we are going to use the generative AI tools to generate the Python codes. I'm just going to go over these codes, and there will be only one or two such exercises where after the code has been generated, we'll see how it is implemented and how the results are actually interpreted. So there will be just a one or two exercise, and I believe that once you have the theoretical understanding of the things, you can also use the GPT and the other generative AI tools to generate very precise codes, and then you can work around those things. So it is not a mandatory requirement that you should know the coding. We are not actually interested in teaching that in this.
Okay, I think with that, we will close today's sessions. We've answered majority of the questions. So thank you so much, Professor Priyank, Dr. Sadadru, for joining us today and helping us, take through and taking us through various aspects of the program and helping understand the participants more about the details. And to all the participants, thank you so much for joining in. We hope this was helpful and helped you understand about some of the key aspects, hearing directly from Professor Priyank and getting some of the queries answered. And we hope for those of you who find this course a good fit for you all, we hope to see you soon. And please go ahead and apply. And then, depending on, of course, the application process, if you cross and if we'll be happy to start this program with you. And we hope to see some of you at least in the upcoming cohort that starts on October 19th. And with that, we'll close the session. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in, and have a lovely evening. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, bye.